Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and show you how you can use the developer tool to find out what codes you need for your website. So currently I'm on my dashboard with Squarespace. You can tell because I have the little arrow up here. And then if I come over, I also have my live website just so I can show you. You're going to want to use the inspector tool from your live website, but I'll show you here. You're going to want to also have your dashboard open so you can paste the CSS. So if I'm looking currently, I have a couple different Mailerlite forms. So I'm going to come down here and I have this form here. So this is an embed code. And you do that by, let me just pretend if I'm doing a new one, I'm going to come here to embed, and then I'm just going to grab the code from Mailerlite and paste it in there. So in this particular case, I have a code there, but for some reason it's not showing up. So that is one code that I have. And then I have another one on my block. Let's see here. And then I have one here as well. So this is another code that I pasted, and that is a stacked form. So in both of these cases, I actually just used the name, email, and button form instead of creating the entire text. So I used a transparent background. So I just basically took the color out and just pasted the text box itself, so I didn't have to worry about like this additional text. So I have a couple different forms set up with Mailerlite. So what we're going to do is come to a new page and open up your website. And then we're going to right click and go to inspect. So what this is going to do is actually show us all of the selectors that we need. And then it's going to show us any CSS that's here as well. So that's what's affecting your website. So I'm going to come up here. So I'm going to have basically my website open. So up here we have responsive. That's, as you see it here. So as I change the size here, I can see how it's actually responding on different website devices. You can also see how it's responding on an iPad and so on. So let's go back to responsive. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I can see this. So we're going to scroll down to the bottom, and I'm going to try and find the selector for this particular embed form. So I'm going to come up here to this little arrow and box. When I click on that, now I'm going to come down here and you can see that all of a sudden I can see that, this is a paragraph font. I have this as an H3. This is my P. And here we have a form. So as you move around, you can see this side is actually changing. So if I click on this larger box, I can see that this is an ML form embed wrapper. So if I click down, it gives me more details. So I'm going to just keep clicking, and every basically subset here is a different class that we're going to be interested in. So what you can do is just click on exactly what you want to know. So in this case, I'm going to come up here again. I'm going to click on this name field because I want to know what code I use to put into Squarespace in order to make this change. So I'm going to click on it. And then all of a sudden I can see here, this is a input type form control. And if I come up here, it's automatically, let me just see here. So this is going to be over here is now going to show us all the CSS associated with it. So because I've already changed it, it's showing you, it did have, the background color and border color that I inputted into Mailerlite. And it's showing the font family WorkSons, which is what I had selected in Mailerlite. So I'm not going to worry about the font size or anything. I can make those selections based on what I have on my website right now. You could change them with your CSS code as well, but ideally you're changing as little with CSS as possible. So here we can see that this is the code that we actually need. So we're just going to highlight it, and then sometimes you need to go like this and then right click. We're going to copy the selector. So if I click on copy selector, now I'm going to come over to my panel. Let's go back to my homepage. Scroll down. So if I come to my design panel, custom CSS, this is where you're actually inputting everything that you want. So I've actually already done this. So I can see here, I labeled it horizontal row. So this is what I had pasted. So if I take, for example, this away, actually I'll delete. Sorry, I just forgot to do something. I'm gonna delete that. You can see that it changed here. So what I would do now is I would input that, but I'm just gonna redo that. So what you would do is you would paste your code. Sorry, I'm just gonna Control Z that and grab that again. So I'm gonna paste this code, copy selector, and I'm gonna do that. So now I have that labeled, and I'm gonna do the curly brackets and then enter. And this is where you would type in font family Arborea or font family Sophia Pro, whatever you have on your website, you're going to put that there. So that's the first declaration. So you can see here, I already have it done. And you can see once I had originally removed that, it's going to disappear. So if I remove that, it goes back. If I put it back, it changes. So these codes here are what are going to be unique to your website. So I'm assuming that each one of those is unique based on the form that you input, because I actually had to do this as well. It didn't go across the board. And if I removed this, it also didn't work. So you want this entire input field. And then you also want to do the same for your button. So if you're using different letter spacing or font weights for your buttons and you don't have that set up yet in Mailerlite, then you're going to want to go ahead and adjust that as well. And then I also had a embed form on my blog page. So the one on that ideal client section was like a horizontal row, and this one was a stacked form. So it had different containers. So we had the difference here, form embed body. This one had the selector horizontal row. This one has form field row. So we're going to need new CSS for that. And I actually also had have another one on my contact page, and the font colors on that were different. So I actually had to do a third one for my contact page as well. So I have that as well. So depending on how many you have, you may need to do this multiple times. But again, that is how you find the selector for this. And then if you needed to find the selector for the button, you're going to come up here again, click on your button field, and then here is the selector for your button. So again, you're just going to right click, and all you're really doing is overriding this font family section here. So if we were to look at the blog, and we're going to look at the stacked, same thing, come up here, click, we can see this is the selector that we need, and we're just overriding that font family. Like I said, I didn't touch any of this other stuff. I didn't adjust that. Sometimes you do need to add the important tag at the end for it to take. If you don't have that, sometimes it doesn't, the CSS doesn't work. It needs to override what it's getting from the form and override it with the custom code. So hopefully that helps you navigate how you use the inspector tool. And you can do this to find CSS on any part of your website. So hopefully that helps.